Welcome to Kidmissing TV. This is going to be a short one. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of information. This is a baby Jane Doe found in Rodman's Neck Park in the borough of the Bronx, New York. In 1957, August of 1957. She was naked, malnourished, and was found in a wooded area of the park. Again, in the borough of the Bronx, in the East Bronx. She was wrapped in an undershirt, an army-type raincoat, and an army-type raincoat. She had died of acute peritonitis due to swallowing a sharp object. She was malnourished, but there were no signs of injury or abuse. At the time of her discovery, her death was thought to possibly be connected to that of Joseph Augustus Sorelli, the boy in the box. She's been unidentified for 66 years. They need some DNA. She was partly decomposed. She was about 5 years old, had been there about 5 days. Okay. Here's where I put on my smarty pants hat here. Peritonitis. Anytime that you see itis at the end of a medical word, it means inflammation, i.e. arthritis. It means that she had an inflammation of the intestine. This sharp object somehow made it down her throat, through her stomach, and into her intestines. It must have been a small object. Either that, or it's possible that the object didn't start out sharp. What do I mean by that? Well, it's possible that there was something around the sharp part when she swallowed it, like rubber or plastic, something the stomach acid would eat away. Then it went into the intestine sharp. But it's interesting they called it peritonitis, and I'll tell you why. Because, and I'm too much in the middle here, because it's usually inflammation. That's usually inflammation of the peritoneum, which is actually the outside lining, lining of your belly, where your intestines actually live. So I find it a little bit strange that they did that. But, gosh, I hope I have room enough to put the poster in. But who knows? If the intestines were inflamed, it would have caused the peritoneum to become inflamed, most likely. I wish they would have said what the sharp object was. Is it possible her parents were scared and just buried her? Because they were obviously very poor, they couldn't afford to feed her well, and she just swallowed something because she was just plain starving. And they couldn't afford to bury her. You know, that's what I'm thinking. That's what my mind is telling me. That's what my gut is telling me. That she was buried there, or put there, because her parents couldn't afford. Although she was in an army jacket. I don't know how that works, but maybe the military would have helped if her father was in the military. Or maybe the army jacket belonged to a grandfather, and her parents had it, and they were poor. You know? So, but why was she naked? Unless maybe they put her in the tub. You know, maybe she developed a fever and they put her in the tub. Or they did an alcohol rub down because she had a fever. Sorry. There we go. Because she had a fever. You know what I mean? And in case you don't know what that is, an alcohol rub down is one of the ways to bring down a very high fever. You basically strip the child. You take some kind of cloth, put alcohol on it. Rubbing alcohol, isopropyl, and rub it all over, and it helps to cool the body. I learned that from my mother, who learned that from being a nurse's aide. Another recommendation that they'll give you is to put an ice pack in the like the arterial areas, the groin, the armpit, and it will help cool the blood more quickly. You can also put the child in a bath, but you don't want a freezing cold bath. You want it to be lukewarm because you don't want to shock them, which is what my mother ended up doing with my cousin when we almost lost him to a heat stroke. There's something about that on the other channel. So there are ways to deal with it, and they may have been trying to deal with the fever because they couldn't afford medical attention. They didn't know she swallowed something, So, these are just my opinions from years of living with a nurse's aide, I should say a lifetime of living with a nurse's aide. Not sure what else. My own experiences with hospitals and doctors over the years. A lot of them, unfortunately. So, yeah, that's that's it. From learning, these are the things that I know, and I wanted to pass them on to you. Unfortunately, I cannot find a drawing of her. I'm going to look, because I still have to make the poster when the video's done, but I've never seen one. And I do remember reading a newspaper article from the time period, and they thought that when he was found, when she was found in August, 6 months after him, that the cases may be related. Well, now that we know who he is, it didn't bring us any closer to knowing who she is. But I wonder if they compared their DNA just for the heck of it. That would be something to do. But also just her DNA in the system in general. And try to do genetic genealogy on her. So, come on, Orthram, or the other one. Why can't I remember what it was? Anyway, do that. Take up this case. We can give her name back, just like we did Joseph. And believe me, I still have questions in that case. For example, how did a little boy in 1953 have his father's name when supposedly his father didn't even know of his existence? Today, that could be possible. Not back then. Because back then, the child was called excuse the word, but this is the technical term, bastard. And the father would be guilty of a crime called bastardry. So I do not understand that. He should have been given the mother's name. Unless the father knew. The parents almost had to be, or at least have said they were married in order for him to get the father's name back then. I don't even think it was allowed. Please let me know, but I don't even think it was allowed then if you weren't married. Now it is, obviously. Thank you for listening. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Please subscribe and hit that bell. We're trying to get to 500 subscribers by August 4th and 200 over on Punky's World on the 4th of July. Bye, guys.